Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to Super Popcorn Friends Club.
Oh, shit, I forgot that's what this was.
I know. It's only been 6 months since we did an episode of this.
Has it really been that long?
Well, you do the math. The last one was at the end of October.
That's too many maths.
I think it's been about 6 months-ish.
I feel like that movie is still haunting me to this day.
Yeah, I love how we were like, we're not going to be too strict about how often we do a Super Popcorn Friends Club, and then we just didn't do one for half a year.
Yeah, because that movie burned me. Burned me out. I never wanted to watch another movie again.
Well,
yet here we are.
Luckily for you, it's Monster Hunter.
Another movie I've already seen.
Another? Had you already seen the other two?
I've seen Five Nights at Freddy's.
Had you already seen it before we did this?
Yes.
Oh.
I told you that at the time.
I thought you hadn't. I know I had.
But it was a huge talking point. What are you talking about?
It's been 6 months, Mel.
Yeah, and then we watched it again in the server and continued to talk about it.
We did watch it again in the server. Thanks, Steve. No, this time, we have both been playing Monster Hunter a lot lately. Been playing Monster Hunter Wilds. And I thought, you know what? Let's look at a Monster Hunter thing. But the only Monster Hunter things that aren't stories are both movies. So we flipped a coin and we picked this one.
We picked the Mila Jovovich isekai movie.
Monster Hunter is made by Capcom. And the first one released in 2004 for the PS2. And it was by Capcom Production Studio 1, who were formed in 1999, largely to focus on online games. They made Auto Modelista and Resident Evil Outbreak, which I don't know anything about either of those, but
no.
Apparently they were online focused. And they made Monster Hunter. And I guess the plan with the studio, according to Wikipedia, was that if they made a bunch of online-focused games, hopefully one of them would sell 1 million copies.
Just throw it at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, and Monster Hunter sold 1 million copies. So did Resident Evil Outbreak, but... So those were the successful ones. Immediately successful in Japan, pretty modest sales in the West up until Monster Hunter World, which apparently surpassed the previous Monster Hunter sales record in just 3 days.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So we've both got some history with Monster Hunter.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never hunted a monster in my life.
I started with Monster Hunter 3 on the Wii U, which I'm pretty sure... I don't remember exactly what it was, but I'm pretty sure I got it for free.
How?
I don't remember why. There was some kind of, promotion... And I think it was when you buy a digital game, you can choose one of these 5 digital games to get for free with it. I feel like it was something like that. And I bought something that I wanted, and then all of the other choices were either things I already had or things that I had never heard of. So on a whim, I was just like, sure, I'll try Monster Hunter. And then I really liked it.
You ruined my life.
I did. And then when Monster Hunter 4 came out for the 3DS, I nagged Mel into getting it and playing it with me. And then you played it way more than I did.
Yeah, you ruined my life. Now I have a Poogie in my bed with me.
That doesn't sound like it's ruined to me.
It is.
There's no Poogie in this movie.
I know.
It's criminal.
But you know what? After seeing what they did to the Meowscular chef, I'm not too mad about it.
Yeah. So this movie released in theaters in December 2020. What a great time to release a movie in theaters.
Yeah, we watched it. I can't remember if we pirated it or if they immediately put it on streaming platforms and we watched it at home.
Yeah, because you saw this when it was new.
Yeah. I saw this before I ever played World.
Right, I wanted to ask you about that, because a lot of the characters in this are from World.
Yeah, but it's not really important at all, but now that I played it, I'm like, oh, it's them!
Yeah, so did you have a new experience now that these were familiar characters to you?
Not really.
No.
The only new experience was seeing Ron Perlman as the Admiral.
Because I guess the first time you watched it, you will have just assumed these were all movie-exclusive characters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And now you're seeing them again, and you've been annoyed by these people in a video game. Reminds me of that time.
What time? What time?
For anyone who's played the Kulve Tarath quest in Monster Hunter World, that was a reference for you.
It's specifically the raid. If you just do the master rank arch-tempered, you don't get it.
Oh.
You have to do the bullshit setup.
Yeah, and he says
where
it in
you
the
gotta
raid.
drop boulders on her.
I'm nostalgic for that now. Enough time has passed.
I mean, I've always liked Kulve Tarath. I just hated the raid.
Oh, I know. I mean, I'm nostalgic for the raid.
I feel like you always preferred the raid to the actual fight, though.
Me?
Yeah.
I did enjoy it. I know.
Freak!
I know nobody likes all the like cannon loading things, but I like them. I think they're fun.
I see what they're trying to do, but it makes for a really unsatisfying final battle.
Oh, I don't like that it always ran away at the end. That was sad.
Not just that, but like what was the continent monster that we had to fight in World?
Oh, Zora Magdaros.
Zora Magdaros. Like that battle sucks.
Okay, I don't think it's great for a final boss. I don't like the. I don't think that the cannon loading thing should be a final boss. I feel like usually. I feel like World is an exception because I feel like usually they're kind of optional.
Darren Moran.
Yeah, wasn't that? I thought that was optional. Was it part of the
Wasn't
main
that,
plot?
like the final? Yeah, I think that was like the final
Don't think
high
so.
rank fight or something.
I don't think so.
I think it was. Pretty sure that was the high rank final boss.
I don't remember. Maybe it was.
Monster Hunter 4 HR final boss.
I thought it was completely removed from the plot and was just a willy-nilly thing
Oh,
you can
that's
do.
right. The final village boss is Shigaru Magala, and the final online boss is Dalamater.
Who's that? I don't remember.
The dumb snake you love for no reason.
Oh, I don't know that I love him. I don't remember him well enough.
Hate him.
I just didn't feel like he was interesting.
Like, he was, but I hate him because you stopped playing Monster Hunter with me and I had to fight him alone.
I think I didn't want to stop. I'm pretty sure I was at work whenever you were free, or I had to be in bed for work whenever you were free.
Always with your excuses. I was at work. I was in college.
I had finished college by the time we were playing Monster Hunter. I think. Oh no, I guess we did start it while I was still there, huh? I do remember playing Monster Hunter with you lying on the bed in my college bedroom. Anyway, this movie was written, directed, and produced by Paul W.S. Anderson.
Wow, that's a lot of letters.
He was made famous by directing 1995's Mortal Kombat movie.
Oh boy!
And he went on to Event Horizon, which I've heard of but never seen.
I like Event Horizon.
Okay, well that's good. He did the first Resident Evil movie and was heavily involved in the other Resident Evil movies. He also made the first Alien vs. Predator movie, which I didn't like. And he's currently working on a House of the Dead film, which I'm interested in. I like House of the Dead.
Oh, I forgot that was happening.
Me too. I don't know if I knew, actually. He's also married to Mila Jovovich.
See, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it sure does, because she's in everything he does.
She's just in every movie?
She's the focus of all of his movies. Apparently, they started dating after the first Resident Evil, and he's basically just dedicated his career to putting her on the screen ever since.
You know what? Good for them.
Yeah.
That's a power couple.
Yeah. So, apparently, he's been a fan of Monster Hunter since 2008.
Wow.
So, this movie was a passion project for him.
What would that be? Monster Hunter Try?
I'm not sure. It said that he discovered it on a trip to Japan.
Oh.
So he actually locked down the film rights pretty early on. And then when World came out and became a huge success, a bunch of big film companies started seeking the rights and found out that he had already locked them in.
That bastard, we could have had something better.
He was ahead of the curve. Now that's why the official Monster Hunter movie is this fan project.
It definitely feels like somebody's fanfic.
Yeah, it does feel like a fan project. Not necessarily in a bad way. I do think the visual effects were very impressive, which they don't tend to be.
I don't hate this movie. It's
no.
just, it could have been better.
I remember you saying when you first watched it that it wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be. Because we thought it was going to be bad when we saw the trailer.
We thought it was going to be a stinker.
Yeah, but it's not that bad. It draws very heavily from Monster Hunter World, which was the newest game at the time. But it has a lot of things from other Monster Hunters too. It's got a lot of stuff from Monster Hunter 4 in it.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't know anything about this, but it draws very heavily from Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker.
Why?
So, the idea of this being about soldiers who get pulled through a portal to the Monster Hunter world actually comes from the Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker Monster Hunter crossover event.
Oh my god, this is absolutely a fanfic movie.
They just replaced Big Boss with Natalie Artemis. So that's interesting. This is, in a way, a Metal Gear movie.
Weird.
So we open with a quote. It's not attributed to anybody. But it says, "It is entirely possible that behind the perception of our senses, new worlds are hidden of which we are totally unaware."
This is warming us up to the idea that it's another isekai.
Yeah. And then most of the words fade away and they just leave the words, "the new world." Which, to me, implied that this is set in the Monster Hunter World's world, which would make sense with it being the Fifth Fleet that we're mostly focused on. But there's also a lot of stuff that doesn't quite match up with that. So I made the assumption that this desert is the Wildspire Waste, but I don't know if it is.
Yeah, it's kind of implied to be, but the Wildspire Waste has no Nursilla.
Yeah, it also has no tower in the distance with a storm raging around it constantly.
No Cephalos.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I was very surprised that they snuck that little wiener in.
Yeah. But everything else that's here, I guess, can be here. Well, that leaves like 3 monsters. So there's a sand ship sailing through the desert, and we see the handler from Monster Hunter World. That's her.
Yeah, she's less annoying because she's not talking all the time.
Yeah, she's cuter too.
Yeah.
They managed to find a real-life person who's cuter than the 3D model that they made.
I don't think that's too hard.
No, I guess not. She wasn't she wasn't particularly cute, I guess.
She's just pretty normal looking. She's not anime cutesy.
Yeah, unlike this real person. Who is played by Hirona Yamazaki, a Japanese actress known mostly for live-action drama roles. She appeared in a Kamen Rider movie as Akane Tono. The common thread with a lot of the characters here is that I don't know how they found them, because it's a multinational cast of actors who haven't really done that much and have basically done nothing outside of their own country except this.
It's meta. It speaks to the nature of Monster Hunter, combining everyone together in the hunt.
Yeah, I just wonder how it happened, that's all. I wonder about the logistics of it, because like I assume that they made this movie in Hollywood, but then they've got an actor from Japan and an actor from Germany and an actor from Brazil who...
You know, the Hollywood sand dunes.
Oh, I mean, I'm assuming this is all CGI. We got the Admiral here on the ship, looking through old logbooks at sketches of the tower.
It's Ron Perlman!
He's played by Ron Perlman!
What a weird choice.
We've talked about him before.
Yeah.
He's in Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm as Stryker.
There's a lot of Mortal Kombat here.
There is. I don't think that Paul Anderson was involved in Defenders of the Realm.
If only.
Although I guess it was trying to be a sequel to his movie, so... We got two Diablos approaching the ship from behind. Did you like Diablos?
I hate Diablos.
Yeah, that guy sucks.
I mean, I say that about a lot of monsters. He's probably not very far down on my hate list. He's annoying to fight, but he's also kind of an old friend, you know?
Yeah, I think it's odd that there's so much focus on Diablos in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, Diablos is fine. He is a monster from the original Monster Hunter. But but I don't know. I never think of him as a particularly important one.
Maybe it's just that it's such an aggressive monster. They're like, we need something to relentlessly pursue our protagonist.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so they're from the first game. They've appeared in most of the games since.
They're not in Wilds yet.
No, not yet. They weren't in 4, I think. There is another one they weren't in. I can't remember which one it was, though.
There was definitely Monoblos in 4.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of a different one then. Maybe it was 3 they weren't in. Were they in Rise? I can't remember.
I can't remember either. Maybe not.
Well, anyway, we see the Hunter here. He's just called the Hunter.
Is he like the field team leader?
Yeah, I was going to say I assume he represents the Monster Hunter World player character, but actually I think you're right now that you say that. He looked familiar to me.
I had the same thought. It's the armor.
Yeah, I think he is the field team leader.
They've dressed him too deliberately for me to think that it's the player character.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's him. That's 100% him. Yeah, it's exact.
Yeah.
The only thing different is his face. All right. Yeah, okay, you're right. My bad. He's definitely supposed to be the field team leader.
Which is interesting considering they've given him a tragic backstory.
Yeah. Well, nobody really has that much of a backstory in Monster Hunter usually.
No, but wasn't the field team leader like born in the New World and he's just kind of helped his grandpa save the day?
I don't know if he was born there, but yeah, he was definitely... Yeah, because his grandpa was, the captain, right?
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, it's kind of funny that the Admiral has this role that probably would have fit the captain better.
Born and raised in Astera, the New World has always been his home.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember that.
That's one of the only things I did remember.
I guess I didn't think they'd been in the New World for long enough for this 20-something man to have been born there. I guess I forget how long. I guess all of the First Fleet are elderly people, now that I think about it.
The huntsman's just some old man.
Yeah, that woman that the handler has a romance with, I forget her name.
The tracker?
The tracker, yeah. So the hunter is carving something at a table. I think it's an arrowhead. I can't remember.
Is it? It looks like he's carving one of those figurines he carries around of his dead family.
Ah, that's probably what it is. Yeah. The room that they're in here looked a lot like the room that the opening cutscene of World takes place in.
It looks like they did a lot to recreate that, like as you're coming to before you've created your character and you're just looking at the excitable A-lister and the serious handler.
Yeah, because they're right here as well. The hunter is played by Tony Jaa.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's a martial artist from Thailand. He was a stunt double in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. And then he starred in Ong Bak Muay Thai Warrior. I probably butchered that.
That movie's so cool!
Yeah, I've never seen it.
It's good.
He's the main guy in it, I think.
Yeah, he's Ong Bak.
His first English-speaking role was in Furious 7, apparently.
Cool.
I don't really know him, but he's good. I like him.
Yeah.
He made me laugh in this movie.
He's a cool guy. He does some really cool stunts.
So we briefly see the excitable A-lister, aka the Ace Cadet, aka Aiden.
I forgot that was his name.
Yeah, he's a character who first appeared in Monster Hunter 4 as the Ace Cadet. Then he went on to appear in World as the excitable A-lister. And then he starred in the next Netflix film, Legends of the Guild, which I haven't seen yet.
We'll get to it.
I think that's where we find out that his name is Aiden.
Yeah, and then they mention it in Iceborne, like at the butt end.
That's right. He's played by Yannick Schumann. A German actor known mostly for German things. I didn't know any of them. I watched a trailer for something he was in called Center of My World, which was seemed to be an LGBT coming of age story. It looked pretty nice. It looked really sad.
Yeah, they tend to go one of two ways.
Yeah. He's at a table with his partner, the serious handler, whose name is Leah, apparently. I'm assuming that was revealed in Iceborne too.
I don't remember that at all.
Me neither. She only appears in Monster Hunter World, though, so I don't know where else it could have been revealed.
Maybe they just gave it to her in this movie.
Maybe. She's played by Nanda Costa, a Brazilian actress known mostly for Brazilian things, which, again, I didn't know any of. Seems like she's best known for playing Sandra Helena in a TV show called The Big Catch.
I'll take your word for it.
Me too. So anyway, everything starts going wrong as the Diablos ram into the ship. The handler almost dies.
If only.
If it was the game, I would say that. But this handler, I don't mind.
That's true. She's cute.
Yeah. The hunter saves her. Someone gets impaled on Diablos' horn.
Unclear who.
Yeah, just someone. There's a lot of disposable people on this ship. I don't know about you, but so the hunter gets knocked off the ship by a barrel which hits him. And it was hilarious.
I don't remember laughing particularly hard.
Everything about the timing of it. The sound effects and the timing. It really caught me off guard. It was great. I don't know if it was supposed to be funny, but it really was. So the ship continues on its way, still being attacked by the Diablos. We see the hunter lying unconscious in the sand, but stirring, so we know he's alive.
Yeah.
And now we go to real life, which is signified by a discarded can of Coca-Cola in the dirt.
Well, see, what they've done here is they've placed these two scenes next to each other to liken them. Like, look how much like real life Monster Hunter is.
Yeah, I'm already bored.
Now that we're not dealing with monsters and we're dealing with humans in our boring world.
If I came here to see real life, I wouldn't be watching a movie called Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, we're looking at United Nations joint security operations, and then there's a bunch of map coordinates. I looked them up because that's the kind of deep research we do on this show. And it showed me a desert in the middle of Afghanistan with no marked roads, but it did have a bunch of businesses marked on Google Maps nearby.
Interesting.
None of them had photos, so I am kind of suspecting that people in the area saw these coordinates when they watched the movie and then decided to put pins for their business in that desert as like advertising for anybody like me who looked up the coordinates. And if that is what it is, good job, everybody. You really confused me. So now we have our main character, Natalie Artemis. I assumed that Artemis was a code name since all the other characters clearly have code names.
No, it's just her last name.
Yeah, at the end when they look at the dog tags and it says Natalie Artemis, I was like, oh, okay.
I guess that's the name.
She's listening to a recording. It sounds like a storm rolled in and a military team went missing during it. And now her team are out searching for them.
Just a bunch of screaming and noise.
Artemis is played by Mila Jovovich, who I mostly know as Lilu from The Fifth Element.
Yeah, Lilu Dallas Multipass.
I love that movie.
It's pretty good.
She's also the star of the Resident Evil movies, which I know Resident Evil fans have mixed feelings about, since she's not a character from the games.
And since the movies go wildly cuckoo bananas.
I heard that I heard that they kind of start off wildly cuckoo bananas and then try to get closer to the games later on.
Not the one I remember watching.
Okay, because I know the later movies start introducing more characters from the games, where the first movie doesn't.
Like, yeah, they had characters from it, but the plot of the movie, I was like, what am I watching?
Okay,
I don't remember which one I saw. I got tricked into watching it in theaters.
I haven't actually seen any of them, so.
I had neither. This is the only one I saw, and it was like the 5th or 6th movie. I'm like, what is happening?
I guess her second in command is Marshall, this guy who comes over to give her some news.
It doesn't matter. All these people die in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, they're all expendable. But he's played by Diego Boneta, who played Luis Miguel in Luis Miguel.
Miguel?
Yeah, how do you pronounce it?
Miguel.
Well, there's a U in it.
Yeah?
Okay. I don't know. Drew Bowley in Rock of Ages, and Alex Santiago in Pretty Little Liars.
No! No!
He's also a singer.
Get that show out of here!
Oh, yeah? Do you remember him?
Yes, I do. They get rid of him pretty quick.
Okay.
I mean, good. Because otherwise he would be stuck dating Spencer, and she's garbage trash.
I'll take your word for it. We've got the two soldiers who drive the smaller car, Axe and Steeler. Axe is played by Jin Oh-young. I definitely pronounced that wrong, but I tried. Also known as MC Jin, he's a rapper. There's a lot of musicians in this team.
Maybe that's where the casting call went out to.
Maybe.
International musicians.
He also played Jimmy in Too Fast, Too Furious, and he performed on the soundtrack for Fast and Furious 6.
Wow.
And his partner Steeler is Joshua Hellman, an Australian actor who started out playing Denny Maitland on the Australian soap opera Home and Away, which my mom used to watch when I was a kid. Don't think she was watching it anymore by the time this guy was on there.
Darn.
He also played William Stryker in the X-Men movies, which I haven't seen. And he played Captain Boomerang in the Harley Quinn animated series. That was pretty recent. And then we've got Artemis's driver, Dash, played by Megan Good. She is the most prolific of the actors in this team, besides Mila herself. She played Nina in Cousin Skeeter. Did you ever watch Cousin Skeeter?
No.
I know of it. Do you know what it is?
No.
It's the Nickelodeon live-action sitcom with the puppet boy.
I did watch Cousin Skeeter. I just completely
lost
it from my mind. Yes.
I never watched it. I don't think we really had it here, but I've learned of it since.
I don't remember if it was good or bad.
It was bad.
I do remember, yeah. I do remember watching a few episodes.
Okay, well, she was Nina, who was one of the main cast. I think she was the love interest of the main non-puppet boy.
The main non-puppet.
But I can't remember. She also played the superhero form of Darla in the Shazam movies recently. I saw the first one of those, but not the second one. And she plays Camille in Harlem, which I've never seen.
Mm-mm.
But she's done a lot of stuff.
So I googled Cousin Skeeter because I had forgotten what it was, and one of the first things to pop up is a YouTube video that's called "Why Cousin Skeeter is One of the Worst Nickelodeon Shows."
Yeah, it's not. I did watch some of it after I was reminded of it by this. I did watch, I watched up until the opening sequence of the first episode. I watched the whole cold open, and I watched I think I got like 2/3 of the way through the opening sequence, and then I was like, I need to turn it off.
Oh no, it doesn't appear to be streaming anywhere.
It's like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air if Will Smith was a puppet and insufferable. Basically.
Well, that still sounds like a good show, though, because all the other characters in Fresh Prince were good.
Okay, let me put it more like this: if Will Smith was a puppet and insufferable, and everyone else was boring.
Okay.
If everyone else existed only to show how cool Will Smith was, and didn't really have their own like personalities. Anyway, do you think that there's a law in Hollywood that says that all dialogue between soldiers has to be really annoying to listen to?
I do. I think that's on the books.
Right. Because this does it, everything I can think of. Whenever there's a bunch of soldiers just chatting, it never sounds like real people talking.
It sounds like Hollywood talk for We Are Soldiers.
I don't know, not even that. I wonder if it's like... Because, any Hollywood movie that uses military equipment or whatever has to get run by the US government and approved.
Right.
I wonder if the US government keeps coming back and being like, you need to make these soldiers more cool and relatable and likable.
If you're gonna use our cool cars, we need to make sure that your soldiers are cool too.
Yeah, but they also like don't really know what any of those things mean, so they just push these characters until they're annoying and insufferable. Anyway, there's a bunch of stone pillars in the desert, and they've all got Monster Hunter language written on them, I guess. And we meet the final member of the team, the sniper, Lincoln, who is played by Tip Harris, also known as T.I., a rapper with 3 Grammy Awards.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for him.
He also played Dave in the Ant-Man movies. He's the getaway driver for Ant-Man's crew of criminals.
Sure.
Those movies are okay.
You know I don't care about the Marvels.
I know. You'd like some of them. I think you'd like the first 2 Ant-Mans, but not the third one.
Ants-Man.
Yeah, they're funny. Those are funny ones. I just like Paul Rudd, that's what it is.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So Lincoln has found the last tracks of the missing team, but they end abruptly and there's no sign of the vehicles.
Oh no, what could have happened?
And then a sandstorm starts approaching and they remember that there was a storm in the recording they had.
Excuse me, this is a sandstorm full of lightning?
Excuse me, I didn't order any lightning with my sandstorm.
I just wanted the basic sandstorm. I hope I'm not getting charged for this.
So they decide to flee the sandstorm because it's weird. And we see Artemis putting a wedding ring in a safe box to keep it.
It's a tin of Altoids.
This wedding ring shows up a lot, but she never mentions a husband or wife.
I wonder if it's just to further draw parallels between Monster Hunter.
What do you mean?
Because of the field team leader and his little carvings of his family that he carries with him.
So it's to give her a parallel to him.
Yeah.
But his are dead and hers is implied to be alive.
Implied to be? We don't know.
That's true, but she does later on when she kisses the ring again, she's like, I have to make it back. But maybe she just has to make it back so she can throw the ring in the Hudson.
Maybe she just has to make it back so she can watch Cousin Skeeter.
That's what that is. It's not a wedding ring. It's a ring that she bought to remember Cousin Skeeter. That's what the forever carved inside it means.
Right. You're tuned in forever to Skeeter.
So as the storm envelops them, the weird lightning strikes all the stone markers, and then a big pit opens in the floor in front of them, and the car falls in it.
And they go to Monster Hunter!
Yeah, this is not how the portals look or work later on in the movie, but who cares?
It's a little inconsistent. There's many different ways into Monster Hunter.
When I read interviews with Paul Anderson, he said that the reason he made it an isekai is that he wanted viewers to experience the Monster Hunter world the way that he did when he first discovered it, by getting sucked into the world.
Sure, buddy.
I like to think that is what happened, that he went into Japan and he stepped into a portal and he was actually in the Monster Hunter world. And he just assumes that's, he hasn't mentioned that part because he assumes that's how everyone got into it.
Right. He's like, what was the first monster that tried to kill you? I got cocooned by Nursilla.
What was the first Monster Hunter that you played? Anyway, I guess they're in the Wildspire Waste now. I thought somebody would die on the way, but they're all alive for now.
Right, because they really take a tumble. You'd think that something would be broken, someone would be dead.
Yeah, but even the cars aren't broken.
The windows get all smashed out, but that's about it.
Yeah, they still work fine.
Except the electronics.
Well, I don't think the electronics are broken, because they're saying they can't get a radio signal or whatever.
Oh, that's fair. There's just no radio.
Yeah, there's just no radio towers. There's nothing for it to pick up, I think, is the problem. They're assuming it's busted. But
right.
I think it's the world that's busted. So they get the car working, and they find the wrecks of the vehicles they were looking for. Just full of char-grilled people.
Yeah, and there's glass all around.
Yeah, the sand has been turned into glass.
Yeah, to let us know something hot happened.
But not hot in the good way.
It's there to tell us it wasn't Diablos' fault.
Yeah, unless you just don't know any better and you just think Diablos breathes fire.
Yeah, all big dragon-looking things breathe fire.
Diablos doesn't breathe fire, for anyone who doesn't know.
To be fair, I have some questions about Diablos in this movie.
Do you want to raise them now, or shall we wait?
I will raise them now.
Okay.
If it pleases the court.
The floor is yours.
There seems to be a lot of focus on Diablos, like, trying to eat them, but Diablos is an herbivore.
Oh, you're right. Good point.
Like, a lot of it seems to be Diablos being territorial, but, like, at one point when they try to distract it and run in the opposite direction, it comes out of the sand and, like, tries to immediately eat whatever's rolling on it. I'm like, what? Diablos wouldn't eat up people!
No. Yeah, what do they eat? They eat, like, mushrooms and stuff, right?
They eat cacti.
Cacti, that's right. There's a couple things in here where I'm like, I don't know if that's Monster Hunter canon. There's no sign around the vehicles of anyone being there, so we can assume that whatever it was flying. Because there's no prints or tracks of any kind.
Well, they say that, but isn't the desert particularly well known for shifting a lot due to the winds? And
I think it depends a lot on the desert. I think there are some deserts where there aren't that many winds and tracks can stay for a long time.
But this one has frequent thunderstorms.
That's true.
Frequent sandstorms.
So they drive off. We have to listen to them sing for a while.
They say that in the army the pay is mighty fine.
They say that in the army the pay is mighty fine.
They give $100 and take back 99.
They give $100 and take back 99.
Well, we need this song as the emotional through line of going home.
Do we? Does she sing it? I know she sings it one more time. Does she ever sing it again?
She sings it when she's bait that one time.
Yeah, that's the one time I remember.
I don't know. I feel like maybe one other time, but I could be imagining that.
Well, we see the hunter watching them from a cliff. And he grabs his bow, which I'm pretty sure is a hunter's bow, made from bones.
Yeah.
I feel like almost or maybe yes, all of the weapons that we see are just bone weapons in this movie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true.
Which is kind of a shame.
Yeah, there's so many monsters to make your weapon out of.
Yeah.
The Admiral should have had a super fancy charge blade.
Yeah, so they reach a giant skeleton. This is a Darren Moran skeleton.
I hate that guy. I'm glad he's dead.
An elder dragon introduced in Monster Hunter 4. It doesn't appear in the movie apart from this skeleton. But this is another thing where I'm like, is this the new world? Because we don't know of them existing in the new world.
Yeah, but I feel like maybe that's a little bit too deep into the lore for this movie.
Yeah, maybe. The hunter fires like a paint arrow at the ribs of the skeleton to get their attention.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if there was ever a paint coating.
I was going to ask you about that because I don't know as much about the bow as you do. I guess it would make sense for there to be one back when paintballs were a thing.
Yeah. Hold on, let me see. I think there was a paint coating.
Okay. Because in games before Worlds, you used to have to paintball monsters so that you could see them on the map, which I kind of miss.
I think that they should do more of the stuff that they did in Worlds, where you investigate to find the monsters. Like, when I'm endgame, I don't want to have to keep hunting down a monster. I want to be able to see it on the map, but I also don't want to start as a level 1, rank 1 hunter and immediately know where my target is.
Yeah. When you're early game and you just immediately always know where every monster is at all times, I feel like you lose something.
Yeah.
I do like having to go out and search for them a little bit.
paint coatings did exist in Monster Hunter for you.
Were they in Generations too?
Yes. Yes, they were.
Okay. Well, they misinterpret the hunter's signal because he's just trying to get them to come to where he is and get away from the Diablos. But they misinterpret it and start shooting at him immediately, which only brings Diablos to them quicker.
I do have some questions about him trying to lure them there, if he's immediately going to be hostile.
I know, I was going to say that too, because he seems like he's trying to help them at the very beginning here, but then he becomes very hostile afterwards.
Like immediately.
But maybe that's because they shot at him.
That's fair.
I don't know.
They did shoot at him.
Because it does seem weird. In general, the hunters here are quite hostile to Artemis until quite late in the movie.
Yeah.
Which seems odd because I feel like in the Monster Hunter games, there's very little hostility between humans, or between humanoids even.
I mean, that was kind of something that I noticed in this movie in general. Like, Wilds has put a lot of focus on humans living harmoniously together with each other and other creatures, including monsters. And then this movie is very much, monsters will kill you. They are everywhere. They are propagating. Run.
Yeah, I feel like that's not just Wilds, but I feel like the series in general has a very strong theme of like cooperation and harmony with nature, because usually in Monster Hunter, when you're killing a monster, it's because that monster is in some way upsetting the balance of nature.
True. Yeah. And so you get the quests that are like, this monster's too loud. Go kill it.
Yeah. Like the main plot is always like, this monster is scaring the fish away, and that's affecting the life cycle of the Apsaros, so you need to kill it.
This monster's spreading stinky powder that's making all of the other monsters crazy.
Kill it. This monster's real angry and is about to have a baby. Kill it.
This monster's about to explode the entire world.
This monster's looking for a place to die. Kill it.
Yeah, he was looking for a place to die, but he was gonna do it in a way that would explode the entire world.
This monster's really hungry. Kill it. That one's Nergigante, for anyone wondering.
I was going to eat that mummy.
So this is where the first one dies. Steeler, he gets impaled on the Horn of Diablos.
Yeah, but it's okay. He has grenades, but it's also not okay because he doesn't have any points in artillery, so it doesn't do a lot of damage.
Yeah, well, it does break the horn.
Does it?
Yeah, it has a broken...
His horn chips later.
Oh, I thought this is where his horn broke.
It's when Mila gets away and she like crawls into a cave and it's trying to like dig its way in there, you see the horn chip.
Oh, okay.
Unless that was just like a further chip.
Maybe.
Hold on, I'm watching it right now.
I mean, it's straight up broken later on in the movie, so...
No, that is not what broke it.
Okay. All right, never mind.
They only get a partial horn break. They don't get the full reward.
Oh, well.
Should have brought a hammer.
Yeah, as the Diablo... No, wait, I guess this isn't where the hunter becomes hostile to them, because as Diablos chases them into the cave, the hunter tries to draw aggro.
Yeah, he distracts it briefly. He has blast coatings.
Yeah. But it doesn't work. He does not draw aggro. It continues chasing the soldiers into the cave.
Which is very typical of a Monster Hunter experience.
Yeah. And then when it can't get into the cave, it retreats back into the sand.
Yeah, that's when it chips its horn. It does it itself.
Okay. Well, I'm going to assume the explosion got the chipping started.
They did some of the part damage.
Yeah.
And then when it wall bonked itself.
Then night falls immediately.
Just like in Monster Hunter Wilds.
Like, at first I thought maybe this is supposed to be showing that time has passed, but it doesn't feel like time has passed the way they're talking in the cave. It feels like it just happened.
Yeah.
Because Dash is losing it. Artemis calms her down and immediately gets grabbed and stung by a Nursilla.
Yeah, she gets she-lobbed.
And she gets put to sleep.
She must have flinch free because all you gotta do is slap her and she'll get up.
Yeah. Yeah, I have some questions. First of all, Nursilla is a monster introduced in Monster Hunter 4. Does not appear in Monster Hunter World. But that's okay.
We like Nursilla.
We do like Nursilla. They were uglier in this than they are in the games.
They were pretty ugly.
And I was looking real close for a Gypsaros hide, but I did not see one.
I was looking real close for even one cocoon Gypsaros, and I only saw humans.
Yeah. I was a bit sad about it, but whatever.
Yeah.
Her crew tried to do CPR on her, and they can't find a pulse, which is weird because she's only sleeping.
Right.
That's what Nursilla's stinger does. It puts you to sleep.
Her butt sting puts you to sleep. Her face sting poisons you.
Yeah. And it's the no pulse thing that confuses me, I think, the most. So like, there's no pulse. But she wakes up. Like a little bit later, she just wakes up on her own.
Maybe it just slowed her pulse down so much it was indetectable.
Maybe.
I'm telling you, it's just like Shelob, where Sam is like, "Oh no, Mr. Frodo, you're dead, and I'm leaving now." And then later he hears the orcs talking, saying he's still alive.
I guess you're right. But they leave because they get swarmed by smaller Nursillas, many of them.
Yes.
Marshall gets grabbed and, I guess, ate by the big one?
Yeah. I didn't think spiders were quite so forward about eating, but these ones sure are.
Artemis wakes up as her sleep status wears off, and then Nursilla stings her again. So I don't really know what the point of that scene was.
Gotta bring an energy drink.
Yeah, I've started doing that now.
I keep forgetting. I was doing it in World, but then Wilds came around and I was just like, doo-doo-doo.
It doesn't matter, because I feel like every time I start drinking my energy drink, someone slaps me awake anyway.
I've fallen asleep a few times, and one time I just laid there for the duration of the sleep status.
Living vicariously through your hunter.
If only I could sleep that soundly.
So Artemis wakes up in a sack hanging from the ceiling, dangling like a Gypsaros.
Yeah, and yet, not a single one.
The rest of the team are here too. I guess we're to assume that they're dead, even though she wasn't.
Yeah, we don't see what happens to the rest of the team. We see what happens to one of them.
Yeah.
I guess two.
She finds a bag, and she's got breathing oxygen, some flares, and some bullets. That's important to know what's in her inventory.
It is important to know. I saw those two things and I was like, oh, I know where this is going.
Then she starts timidly making her way out of the nest, and she finds a bunch of eggs, and then she finds Lincoln, and Nursilla's following them the whole time.
Yeah, she's real creepy about it. Lincoln's complaining because his arm is numb and he has pain in his side.
Yeah, and it turns out that he's giving birth to baby spiders.
Yeah, that was weird. I was like, what? That makes sense.
Right. And I went to the wiki articles about Nursilla to see if there was any mention of them using bodies as hosts for babies in the games. It doesn't say that they don't do that, I guess. But there's also nothing saying that they do.
It seemed very much added for the horror element and not because it is lore accurate to my Monster Hunter series.
Yeah, it seemed like something they just threw in because it was spooky scary.
Right. It just felt weird when immediately before we had seen eggs in a natural state.
Yeah, it was weird. it felt out of place. And then, Nursilla eats what's left of him, even though...
Yeah, it's like, how many babies did she just put in her mouth?
Yeah, right? And Artemis makes a little flamethrower out of the flare and the oxygen can.
Yeah.
Sets Nursilla on fire. And this is where it was, I don't know, maybe we don't really get a great look at Nursilla at any point in this movie, because she's always in the dark. So maybe the Gypsaros hide is on there, because I'm pretty sure the implication is that the Gypsaros hide is the thing that's weak to fire.
Right, because once it comes off, she's not anymore.
Yeah, once the hide comes off, she stops being weak to fire, and stops being resistant to thunder, and she becomes weak to thunder and resistant to fire instead. I think.
Right. Because Gypsyros has that rubbery hide, so it resists thunder.
Yeah. So now we've got a burning Nursilla chasing Artemis out of the nest. And Artemis throws a bunch of bullets on the spider, and the fire sets them off.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure she would have just shot herself, but
Yeah.
it works in her favor.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I wonder if the whole thing is just supposed to be like that the sound of the bullets exploding scared Nursilla. So it stopped chasing.
Maybe.
Because it sure didn't look like they were like pointing at Nursilla.
If they're firing hither and yon, I'm sure one of them would have hit her.
Maybe.
But it also would have hit Mila.
Also, none of the monsters in this really seem that bothered by bullets anyway, so...
Or much of anything.
Yeah, they do seem to die quicker than they do in the games, but not from...
They're also immune to a lot more.
Yeah. The Nursilla won't come out into the light. We see them all, like, skulking in the shadows.
I thought it would have been so funny if she gets out and then a shrouded Nursilla jumps out of the sand. Because there is a sand-dwelling version.
Yeah. The Nursilla, I feel like I don't remember Nursilla having a problem with light in the games.
No, I don't think so.
I feel like they used to come out in the daylight perfectly fine when we fought them in Monster Hunter 4.
But she was always in like darker areas, I guess. Like the sunken hollow was always just like cavernous and dark.
Well, parts of it. I guess I don't remember if she could come out into the brighter areas of it or not. Also, I guess the games we've played that she was in before have always been quite bright because they were designed for small screens.
Right.
So there aren't really any dark places in those games because you need to be able to see what you're doing.
So how did you feel about the scene where Mila takes some of the gunpowder out of a bullet and puts it on a wound, lights a flare, and cauterizes it that way?
Yeah, that was the thing that happened. I was just really confused until she lit it.
Yeah.
Like, it was only once she lit it that I was like, okay, she's cauterizing the wound. And up until then, I was like, what does she want the gunpowder for? Why is she putting it on her leg?
Right. I was like, does gunpowder have some kind of sterilizing properties in it? Like, what's happening?
Yeah. What about all these smoking pillars that are everywhere?
Which are apparently just little Nursilla huts.
Yeah,
Like, why is it so smoky there, but when she was down in the cave, it was just a cave?
I just thought, when I first saw them, and like for a while after when we kept seeing them, I thought it was like foreshadowing Zora Magdaros or something. Because that's the thing they looked the most like from the games that I could think of, is the big rocks that he was leaving around, but small versions of them.
Right.
But no.
More like Valstrax rocks.
Valstrax does rock.
Yeah, but he leaves them too.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, in Generations Ultimate, you have to...
Oh, that's right. They're like little
collect
things though,
research.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I do remember those. So now we get a lot of her just kind of like exploring and looking around. She throws a rock onto the sand and Diablos immediately bursts out, so she knows he's in there.
Yeah, we know this is a dune sandworm scenario.
Yeah, and we see that the hunter is tracking her everywhere as she explores. And she finds a bunch of wrecked sand ships, and then she has a very long fight with the hunter below deck on one of them.
Oh my god, it went on so long.
It's very boring.
Like, now that I realize it's Tony Jaa, I get it, but I don't get it.
Yeah, I get it because I understand why they wanted to do that, but also, I didn't come here to watch humans fight each other. I'm watching Monster Hunter.
All this did was make me want an unarmed version of Monster Hunter, like I've been craving for years. Let me go fisticuffs with the Rajang.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what the Admiral should do.
We've been saying that ever since we saw the Admiral.
Yeah, but he doesn't do it in this movie. Anyway, he ties her up below deck on the ship, and then he marches her back to where all the smoky pillars were. And they're like hatching into Nursilla. I didn't really get what was happening here.
I guess it's implied that all of these are just an entrance into their underground network, but they really just erupt through and destroy every single one.
I guess the implication is supposed to be that the Nursilla come out of those little mounds when the sun goes down and explore the desert. So he takes her to his camp in a little cave to wait for the morning. And he's in there doing some chanting over his little carvings of his, I guess, dead family.
Yeah.
We don't know what they are yet, but that's...
They speak different languages, so we don't get a whole lot of dialogue in this.
Yeah, they can't communicate with each other, which I think was an excuse for the fact that they hired so many non-English speaking actors. So in the morning, he goes outside, and he's looking around with binoculars, and he sees something swimming around down there, and I thought that it was supposed to be Diablos, but I noticed it had a pretty prominent dorsal fin. So then I was like, is that a Cephalos down there?
Ugh, Cephadrome. I hate those things.
And then we do see a Cephalos later on in the movie, so I think maybe that is what it is. But
hold on, I'm watching it again now.
yeah, I paused on it to get a good look.
It is hard to tell, but it does look like a dorsal fin of some sort.
Yeah.
But it's big enough that it wouldn't be just a Cephalos. It would be the giant, dumb, horrible one.
Cephadrome. I guess maybe it's a Cephadrome making a small cameo. They could do that just by scaling up the Cephalos they made.
Yeah.
When he comes back to the camp, she's gone.
She had stolen a rock and cut her way out.
And she knocks him out and ties him up. And now here's a part where I don't understand. Because
what, because they fight again?
Yeah, like, why are they so hostile to each other? There's no reason.
It is weird, because he's gone to the trouble of bringing her all the way back to his little hidey hole. Like, what is he going to do with her if he's just going to tie her up? Is he going to eat her?
I don't know. He was helping her earlier, but then, like,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what the point was. It just feels very confrontational for the sake of having them fight each other.
Right. Because they're going to keep fighting for a while until she finally earns his trust by saving him from the Nursilla.
Yeah, and like, he was drinking water in front of her last night and not giving her any. So then when she has him tied up, she helps herself to some water and he kicks it all over. It was like...
So now nobody gets water.
It just seemed like a dickish move.
Yeah.
Then she smashes his little carvings. And they fight again, and I got bored again. It went on for too long. Then they go rolling down a hill together, and that's fun.
Yeah.
And he falls in one of the pillar things into the nest, but she saves him. And now they're friends.
Yeah. This part was the most unbelievable part, because to cement their friendship, she produces a Hershey's chocolate bar from her pocket. I'm like, you have been in the desert for hours.
I thought you were going to say it was the most unbelievable part because he enjoys the Hershey's chocolate.
No, because she has this in her pocket and it hasn't turned into just melted slop.
Yeah, that's true. So here's what I've written. Here's what I've written about this scene. She gives him part of a Hershey bar, an act of war. She tells him it's chocolate, a dirty lie.
I mean, knowing what Monster Hunter food looks like, yeah, he's had better.
Yeah, I don't like Hershey chocolate. It's bad.
Yeah, but you're a snob.
Well, we have real chocolate here. It's delicious.
We have real chocolate here.
You can't have real chocolate in America because it melts too easy.
That's why it had to be a Hershey bar in her pocket.
Oh yeah, you're right. That is the real reason. that is the real reason that American chocolate is bad. It's because of all the stuff they have to put in it to stop it melting in the hot states. So maybe that does explain it. Anyway, he gives her some water, and they need to cross the desert to get to the storm because she needs the storm to go home. She's got to ride a lightning bolt back to Earth.
I thought this part was funny just because she was still drinking out of that canteen and she looks like when your Palico is recovering and he's drinking out of his little canteen. I was like, he's the hunter and she's the Palico.
I guess so.
She's going to get into her Wrath of Meow.
Oh, her Wrath of Meow is the car that she brought.
Yeah.
Yeah, she says that if they can get to her car, they can get weapons to fight Diablos with. And I love that his reaction to that makes it very clear that he thinks that their weapons are pee-wee baby weapons.
Right. Because they hadn't done anything up to that point.
Yeah.
He's just watching from a distance like, what the fuck bowgun are they using?
Is that some kind of tickle gun?
They're too far away. They're out of range. They are not dealing optimum damage.
And he's saying that when all he's got are bone weapons, so it's a real insult. So he tries to explain to her basically the core gameplay loop of Monster Hunter.
Right.
She doesn't want to... He takes her back to the Nursilla nest, and he's like, Nursilla, we gotta get Nursilla. And she's like, I'm not going in there again. And he uses pantomime to act out the idea of using monster parts to build weapons to fight other monsters, basically.
Right. He wants to get Nursilia's stinger to put Diablos to sleep.
Yeah, he wants to make a sleep weapon.
He wants to make sleep coatings.
I looked it up because I wasn't sure if that was like game accurate, whether a Nursilla weapon does give sleep weapons, but it does.
It sure does.
I would have thought Nursilla weapons were poison weapons, but they're not. They're sleep weapons.
No, Nursilla's in Wilds. How do you not know this yet?
I didn't make a weapon out of Nursilla in Wilds, if I'm being honest.
Fool. What a fool.
Also, I feel like she's never put me to sleep in Wilds. Maybe I've just been lucky.
Well, then how else are you getting put to sleep? If not by Nursilla?
Because Gravios keeps farting on me.
Yeah, that does sound like something you would run face first into.
He's got sleepy farts.
He does, but he doesn't use them very often.
Well, I get him every time. So Artemis is in the desert singing as the sun goes down to lure out the Nursilla.
Oh Lord, I wanna go, but they don't let me go.
Oh, I hate this song. Shut up.
People are trying to sleep. She lures the Nursilla, the big Nursilla, into a trap, and then the hunter kills it with a greatsword. This is the first time we see a greatsword in the movie.
Yeah, and I was underwhelmed. I was like, if that was a real greatsword, it would be 3 times as big.
Yeah, it is a bit smaller than a real greatsword is, but also apparently he had real trouble wielding it during filming because of how big it was. So.
If it was a real greatsword, even a prop would be too heavy and unwieldy.
Yeah. Yeah, even this one was a bit too heavy and unwieldy, and it's quite a bit smaller than a real one. He just slices Nursilla's head in half immediately.
Yeah.
You can't do that in the games.
You can't. You can carve Gypsaros's head off while it's pretending to be dead, and it'll still get up and fight you.
And we'll have a head as well.
You can also carve multiple heads off.
They, I guess, chop off part of its butt and then grab it and run while all the other Nursilla show up. And then back at the camp, she starts teaching him some English by showing her ranger patch.
Yeah, she teaches him 2 words.
Yeah, what is it? Ranger and Velcro?
And hunter.
Oh, and hunter.
But also Velcro, I guess.
He gets obsessed with the Velcro.
Yeah.
Velcro.
Yeah. Okay, all right, that's it.
On the one hand, I'm like, this scene goes on a little bit too long, but on the other hand, I'm like, as an ADHD kid, I've been there. Who among us hasn't stimmed with Velcro before?
I like that here he confirms he is a bow user, but we see him use many weapons in this, as any true hunter can.
Yeah, this is where he explains the little shrine to his family, and he explains to us that they're dead by laying the statues down and covering them up.
Right, but it looked like he was just putting them away anyway, and she just kind of read into it weird.
Maybe he was just like, they're asleep in bed.
No, I'm not returning home. I'm actually on an assignment for a little while. I'll go home after, but...
Yeah, and then he says...
Rathalos.
Why is it always a Rathalos that's killing everybody? It's leaving all these dead moms and sad children.
Well, it's the monster. It's the original flagship monster.
Yes, but
I don't know. I was going to say it's Monster Hunter's Pikachu, but I feel like that's not quite right. I guess it's more like Monster Hunter's Charizard.
It's too apt. What would be Monster Hunter's Pikachu?
Probably felines,
Poogie?
Right?
I guess, yeah.
Palicos. Poogie is more like Monster Hunter's Togepi.
Psyduck.
Psyduck. We see him cutting open the Nursilla part, and I guess he's extracting the sleep sac.
Yeah.
It was gross.
It was pretty gross. It's like a long, tendrily organ still attached to the stinger that he wraps around an arrow.
Yeah. Meanwhile, she practices using a slinger.
Yeah.
That was pretty neat. Slingers were a new thing for World, and I guess they just stuck around ever since.
Yeah. I mean, they weren't in Rise, but that's the side game anyway.
Were they not in Rise?
No.
There was something in Rise, wasn't there? Oh, it was the wire bug
bugs?
thing. Yeah, I'm thinking of the wire bug. They find a crate full of weapons, and he teaches her how to use the dual blades.
The whole time I'm stupidly being like, teach her how to go into demon mode, and then he does!
Yeah.
And then he does!
Yeah. Or she almost enters demon mode, but then it freaks her out and she drops them on the ground. Yeah, I liked
like,
that.
What a weird thing to actually include.
Oh, it's cool.
I guess. I wouldn't have thought if you were making a real life adaptation that demon mode would be an actual mode that you enter.
So here's something interesting I found out. Apparently Mila was allowed to choose her own weapon.
Oh, so she wanted to play with the dual blades.
Yeah, she actually went into the game and tried out all the weapons in game. And she settled on dual blades as being her favorite. So I like that.
Yeah.
I like that they gave her the choice.
Yeah.
Like whatever she wanted. But imagine if she had chosen the insect glaive. I feel like there would be a lot more explanation needed.
All right, and then here's your kinsect, and these are the powders that it drops. You have to pick your kinsect based on which kind of powder you want it to drop, whether it does severing or blunt damage.
Or actually, even better, what if she picked the hunting horn?
Oh, yes. Why didn't she pick the hunting horn?
That would have been so good.
I was just thinking lance, because that would be a dumb, epic movie weapon to use. Just poke, poke, poke the whole time.
So they're like clearly building something out of the ship parts, and I really wanted it to be a Dragonator, but it's not.
Yeah, like when he was putting the stinger on, at first I was like, is that a Dragonator? It's just a bow and arrow.
Yeah, there's no Dragonator in this movie.
Boo.
It would have been the perfect climax to the movie, I think.
And then it plays Proof of a Hunter.
Yeah. I don't think they really had any music from the games in here.
They played the same dumb, weird, like 80s sounding synth song.
Yeah, what was with the synth? It did not.
I hated it.
It felt really out of place.
It didn't. It felt out of place for Monster Hunter, and it felt out of place for an action movie.
Yeah.
There's no Monster Hunter music, but all of the monster sound effects are here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like all the monsters that show up have their roars and stuff.
That's nice. I didn't notice that. Because a lot of the monsters actually had their roars changed for World, apparently. A lot of them got new ones.
Yeah, well, that's the one that we've played the most before Wild.
I know, but I was thrown off by that. You remember how long in World, every time you heard a Rathian or Rathalos roar in the distance, I was like, what the hell was that? Because it wasn't the roar I was used to from the earlier games, and I was convinced it was like something else.
Aren't you just thinking about when Rathian calls Rathalos?
Yes.
And it's that really overpowering roar?
Yeah, but it's not the roar
That's
it used to
different. That's
Huh?
different, though. That's not their actual roars.
be. I know, but it's also not the roar they used to use for that. Because if it had been their original roar, I would have been like, oh yeah. It's that roar. But I think I read somewhere that the new roar that they use for that is a roar that a different monster used to use. I can't remember what monster.
I know
though.
in Iceborne when what is that stupid frost chicken called? Legiana.
Oh yeah.
When Legiana calls another Legiana, it's like a gamut screech.
That's right. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, as well. Anyway, they shuffled up the roars for World. I think I also read that Wilds kind of like brings back a lot of the old roars as well, so.
Are we gonna get Rajang's terrible ear-splitting roar again?
Oh yeah, the old one that used to sound like your speakers broke.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
How could you? I hear it in my nightmares.
Well, they didn't make a Dragonator, they made a catapult, which they used to launch a barrel to lure Diablos away from them so they can run to the car. But Diablos catches up with them anyway.
I had a lot of questions about this part.
Okay, yeah, so they stop moving and Diablos just like passes under them harmlessly.
Well, if you move without rhythm, you won't attract the worm.
That's okay. What were your questions?
My question is, why did they go through the trouble of getting a Nursilla stinger to fire of sleep coating into Diablos' eye when it does literally nothing to stop it?
Hey, it made him drowsy for a bit.
He stumbled to the side, and then he immediately charged and carried on as if nothing happened.
Yeah, clearly the plan didn't work out. I thought it was a shame because I feel like the whole point of the like Nursilla thing was to show how cool it is to make a monster weapon and then use the monster's skills against a different weapon.
Right.
But what they showed here instead was that it doesn't actually work, and you should just have a human minigun instead.
Right. Get a heavy bowgun with the minigun mode.
And
that's all you need.
Like, it doesn't fall asleep. She shoots it with a minigun, and then she hits it in the face with a rocket launcher, and none of that works.
Yeah, because nobody in this movie is spec'd into artillery, but they keep trying to use explosives.
But she uses her slinger to mount the monster, and I mean, the hunter drives his greatsword into Diablos' head, which still doesn't kill it. But then it's
not all the way in. That's why she has to go up there and finish the job.
Yeah. But I like that. That was mounting. We saw some mounting happening here. And you know how much I love to mount the monster.
She used the crutch claw and climbed up there.
Well, yeah, I guess it wasn't a true mount. And she doesn't even know how to wall bonk.
Right. Oh, she probably didn't have any slinger ammo, so maybe she just couldn't do it.
Yeah, that's true.
I hate when I get up there and find out I don't have any slinger ammo.
I know. I hate it when I get up there and I turn it twice and then realize I don't have ammo to launch.
And then you stick drift.
Yes. The hunter's unconscious now, and Artemis carves pieces off of Diablos to make a stretcher to drag him through the desert on.
She doesn't even carve off the horns to make a helmet that is just a giant horn. What if that was the Diablos helmet?
That'd be great.
With some of the helmets I've seen in Wilds, I would not be surprised. Like, what is it, the Gypseros helmet that's just pointy and stupid?
Oh, yeah. It's pretty dumb. But that's what Gypseros armor always looked like.
Probably, but it's been so long since I've seen it, I forgot.
Yeah, we haven't had Gypseros in a while.
Because he stinks. He's dumb.
I was just glad that this is like this is the only time in the movie where we really see someone carving a monster.
Yeah.
Because they don't exactly carve the Nursilla earlier. They just chop a part of it off while fighting and then grab that part and run.
Yeah.
So he has a dream, I guess, about his dead family. We only see glimpses of them through a gold filter.
He's having a near-death experience.
Oh, is that...
And they're trying to beckon him to the other side.
Is that what it is, or is that just...
I think that's what it is, because there's a sandstorm raging outside. Mila has forgotten to pack any hot drinks, so she's cold. So she gets a tent out, and she's under the tent with the hunter. And she seems to think that he's like dying.
Yeah, what does
And
she do
gets
to
that
him?
thing out. I don't know what that is.
She like plugs something into his chest to charge her phone.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, someone tell us what that is. Someone who knows anything about, I guess, military first aid. Maybe it's a teeny tiny defibrillator. I don't know.
That's kind of what I thought it was, because there's like a bunch of wires connected. I was like, is she gonna supercharge him with those? What is she gonna hook it up to? She got a car battery in there?
Yeah, she's got to put the arc reactor in his chest.
Yeah.
Iron Man. So in the morning, she digs them both out of the sand and he wakes up for real. And he's real mad about it. I think he wanted to die.
I think he wanted to die.
But that's okay, because they find an oasis.
Yeah. And Apsaros is there.
Yeah, I like seeing the Apsaros. We don't see a lot of them, but...
We don't see any downy crakes either.
No. So Apsaros was introduced in the first game, and they appear in most of the games. And
It's everybody's friend.
he tells her, again through mime, that Apsaros aren't dangerous because they eat grass.
You know who else eats grass? Diablos.
That's true, and he's pretty dangerous. But as she walks towards the water to get a drink, a Cephalos pounces out, and he kills it.
Good. I hate those things.
This really implies that Cephalos live in the water, which they do not. They live in the sand.
Well, yeah, it seems to come from the sand beneath the water. Like, it just seems to be a crocodile
It's just
hiding
a
in wait.
coincidence that the water was here.
Yeah, well, this is where the animals are going to come to drink. So, yeah,
I
like a
guess so.
crocodile.
I guess so. I like that in the next scene, he's roasting some meat on a spit. And you would think that it would be Apsaros meat, since they were surrounded by Apsaros, and that's a monster that exists to give you meat. But it's Cephalos meat.
Yeah, they already killed it. Might as well cook it.
I don't think you can eat Cephalos meat in the games, but I want to.
Yeah, you don't get any meat carves off of it.
You know, if Big Boss was in this world, like they wanted, he'd be eating all the monsters.
Yeah, probably.
He loves to eat wild animals.
Snake eater.
Yeah, that's why that game's called that, because you can eat snakes.
I was so pissed that she didn't say so tasty.
I know, it would have been so easy to have some kind of so tasty reference here, and they just didn't.
She said so good. That's not good enough.
No. If I wrote this scene, I would have had it turn out that so tasty means the same thing in both languages.
If you wrote this scene, it would have played the music as the meat was grilling.
That's true, it would have. 100%.
So tasty. You have to take it off the fire at the perfect time, or else it burns immediately.
I like that he has clearly learned that chocolate just means food in her language.
Right.
He cans of the meat and calls it chocolate.
I mean, it's only one thing that she gave him. He has one point of reference, and he's not wrong.
He has this little green bottle that he's drinking from, and they treat it as though it's alcohol or something, but do we think that was a potion? Do we think that was supposed to be a potion?
No, I don't think that was supposed to be a potion.
It's green.
But nobody's taken any damage at this point.
Oh, they're pretty damaged.
Yeah, but he slept it off.
She didn't.
And she's eating meat,
Well,
so her max health is about to go up.
Yeah, but that's not going to restore her lost health. It's just going to increase her stamina,
Wilds,
right? It wouldn't increase her max health, would it?
If she eats a well-done steak, yeah.
I thought it only increases your stamina.
It increases your max health, in Wilds at least. I've already forgotten if it does it in World.
Okay, I think you need like a max potion to do that in World. I assumed you did in Wilds too. I don't eat a lot of steak in Wilds.
Yeah, I know. You hadn't even cooked one for
I feel like you
3
don't really
months.
need to, because you get given food so often.
I eat steaks all the time when I'm out on a hunt.
Me too, just not in the game.
Well, that's the problem.
I'm assuming it was a potion.
That's because you're dumb. It's clearly alcohol.
I think they were just treating it like alcohol.
Why would a potion be alcoholic?
It's a green bottle.
It's not like radioactive green. It's like a really dark military green.
Whatever.
It barely even looks green. It's just alcohol.
It's not gonna look like Eddie's can of Mountain Dew.
It doesn't look like a potion. It clearly just looks like a flask.
Okay, fine. We need Paul Anderson to weigh in to let us know whether that was supposed to be a potion or not. Anyway, that night, Rathalos flies over them and torches the jungle.
As is his wont.
And all the Apsaros stampede.
One of them's on fire.
Yeah, I love that for him. This is where the Admiral shows up, swinging a... What did he have?
He had a charge blade, I think.
Okay.
Because he does the super amped elemental discharge.
Yeah, swinging it around and around like some kind of lunatic.
He doesn't have the shield, which makes it look more like a greatsword, but there's nothing else that would do that kind of AoE attack he does.
Right. Well, there's a few times in this movie where the hunter has a sword, which is clearly like the sword and shield sword, but he doesn't have the shield part.
Right.
So I don't know. I think maybe they just haven't in the movie universe. They haven't got any shields for some reason. The hunter gets chased by the Apsaros to a cliff, where the handler tries to save him, hanging down from something in the sky, and then the excitable A-lister and the serious handler come down to save them. It doesn't really give us a clear look at what they're hanging from.
No.
I guess it's the sand ship, but it's in the sky. It's kind of weird that they don't just show us it at all anyway. Like, it feels like we're missing an establishing shot of a flying ship here.
What's a flying ship?
Yeah, I guess so. At first I assumed maybe she was hanging from a wing drake of some kind, like they actually do in that game, but we don't see no wing drake.
They really put wing drakes to work in World.
Yeah, well, in general now. Wing drakes are just our normal fast travel most of the time now.
Well, we also have a chicken.
That's true. I think in Wild... Do we still fly around on wing drakes sometimes in Wilds?
I think sometimes when you like depart on quests,
I think
take a wing drake to a new location.
I think so, yeah.
Or like if you're switching location. But if you're still in the same map, your chicken just runs you there.
Yeah. Well, we learn that the Admiral speaks English.
Perfect English.
But he's the only one who does.
He's made a study of it, we're told.
And he just punches her right in the nose and knocks her out.
Right. Like, this is the only person in this world that can communicate with her, and he's immediately hostile, and we don't understand why.
Yeah. And again, like, so feels so out of place with the normal Monster Hunter world, where everyone is so cooperative and helpful, usually, you know?
Right. It feels especially weird in the next scene when all of the fivers are ogling her in a cage.
Yeah, and like the serious handler is whistling at her for some reason.
Enjoying the show.
Yeah, it's weird. Like she's a zoo monkey.
Yeah, like a dog that she's trying to call over. I want to pet the human.
But, like, she looks just like them. Why are they so enamored?
Yeah, she's even wearing armor from their world at this point, so it's not like she's wearing bizarre clothes from another universe. Yeah, it's very strange. But they all leave, and she manages to break out of the brig into a lower deck. And she attempts to steal a cleaver, but she gets caught by the muscular chef.
You know what I've always wondered?
What?
So, they call Monster Hunter World people fivers, but what would be the clever name for anyone before that? Forers?
Yeah. Do they ever say that? Because, like, we do meet people from the 4th Fleet and the 1st Fleet and stuff, so...
Yeah, there's somebody from every fleet there in Astera, or, like, in the New World. But they're just called, like, the 3rd Fleet.
Yeah, I guess so. No one else is called anything. No one's called a 3er or a 2er.
2er. But I have heard 6ers.
Yeah, don't 6ers show up at the very end of the game or something?
I just mean I've seen people refer to people whose first game is Wilds as 6ers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, like people refer to people whose first Monster Hunter was World as fivers.
It never occurred to me that Monster Hunter World is the 5th game, and then we're playing
That's
as the
why
5th
they're
fleet.
the 5th fleet.
Yeah, that didn't...
You did know that because you're the one that told me.
Oh. Well, I forgot it then, I guess. We're supposed to be talking about the Meowscular Chef right now.
And how he looks terrible?
Yeah, he does not look good, does he?
No. This is a Sonic the Hedgehog situation.
I had to go and look up what he actually looked like in Monster Hunter World to remind myself that he looked really cool in Monster Hunter World.
Yeah, I love the Meowscular Chef.
But he looks really, like, scraggly and diseased here.
He does not look very Meowscular.
No. It feels like they've tried to give him a beard, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, because he's covered in hair.
It just looks... He's ugly. He's ugly.
Yeah.
But I did appreciate the fairly faithful recreation of his cooking animation.
Yeah.
Complete with him carefully placing the garnish at the end. That was fun.
Yeah.
As the hunter finds her down here in the kitchen and escorts her out, and he tells her that the chef is a palico, which I feel like is inaccurate. I don't think the Meowscular Chef is a palico. He's a feline.
He's just a feline.
Yeah.
Right. I think this is another situation where it's like, this person knows the lore, but like not very deeply.
Yeah. Felines are the name of the species. Palico is specifically one that is your partner.
I mean, maybe he's the Admiral's palico in this situation.
I think that is what the wiki calls him. So maybe the Meowscular Chef has always been the Admiral's palico, and we just didn't know that.
Maybe.
Wait, does it? We should look him up on the wiki and have a look.
Like, it's weird to think of someone like Athos as a palico, but that's exactly what he is.
Yeah. Meowscular Chef. Oh, it does say he trusts in his old partner, the Admiral, and instinctively seems to know when he's up to something on the wiki here. So, and that comes from Meowscular Chef dialogue. So, I guess if he is the Admiral's old partner, that would make him the Admiral's palico. That's neat. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Occupation, retired palico.
Aww.
That's nice. I never knew that. Now I like him even more. So the Admiral frees Artemis, having had the situation explained to him by the hunter. And I guess, for the Admiral at least, it seems like the reason he's hostile towards her is because he knows that she's from Earth and he's afraid of what would happen if too many things from Earth came through to his world.
It almost seems like he's worried she's there to intentionally invade the world.
Maybe he's... Because although Earth weapons don't do a whole lot to the monsters, as we've seen, I assume they would be pretty bad news if used against the people of the Monster Hunter world. So maybe that's what he's worried about.
Yeah, I could see that.
Maybe he's worried people from Earth are going to come through and start a war against the people of Astera.
Right.
He tells her that others came from her world long ago, and that's how he learned to speak English. And then we get some kind of like confusing lore. So if this is the new world, I was trying to remember, maybe you remember, I don't remember if there were any actual like human ruins in the new world.
Nothing that I can really recall.
Yeah, I feel like it was all just like natural, right? Because even when we do see ruins in world, it's when we've gone to like the old kingdom where Fatalis is and stuff.
Right. Like all of the map stages are just natural places that have Grimalkins and first Wyverians there.
Yeah. So he starts talking about the ancient civilization, which is something that's talked about a lot throughout the Monster Hunter series, but I don't think is talked about at all in World specifically. I think World is like the only game that doesn't deal with the ancient civilization in any way.
Right. World is focused a lot more on the new world and the new frontier that brings than any of the old shit that they've left behind. That's where Wilds is picking up.
Yes. Yeah, Wilds is very focused on the ancient civilization, but I don't think that World had any of it. So if this is supposed to be the new world, it's strange that this tower is here.
Yeah. I don't understand this tower at all. They don't give us any information on it.
I think deliberately because they didn't really think too hard about it.
Right.
So this is the Sky Tower. Apparently the ancient civilization knew how to travel between the Monster Hunter world and Earth. Okay. Whatever. Like, the idea of things coming to the Monster Hunter world isn't completely out of the realm of possibility, because, I mean, we did have The Witcher come to the Monster Hunter world.
We did.
And a chocobo, I guess.
And a behemoth. Don't forget
and a
him.
behemoth. Yeah. And a Moogle.
Oh, yeah. You can make your kitty cat a Moogle.
So it happens. I guess Ezio did as well. I don't really know what happened with that Gold Quest because we didn't get to play it.
Right, they took it down before we really picked it up.
Anyway, I don't know. I don't know if I like this idea that the ancient civilization were coming back and forth to Earth.
They give us some things that are true. Like the Wyverians destroyed themselves, or the Artians destroyed themselves. And then they give us bullshit about this tower.
Right. Yeah, because he does mention about the ancients' weapons turned on them. And we now know, I mean, I guess the art books of the first game talked about it too, about how they made artificial monsters and then that's what ended up destroying them. But that's something that Wilds goes a lot more in.
Right,
in
and
depth
we kill
about.
it.
Yeah, but here they kind of hint that it was interference from Earth that destroyed the ancient civilization.
What if Zoshia is an Earth monster?
Also, he says that the ancients used Rathalos to guard their technology.
Right.
Which, like, yeah, kind of true, because we know now about Guardian Rathalos, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But that didn't exist yet. And this Rathalos sure looks like a regular old wild Rathalos.
He is.
Although he's a lot bigger. He's very big.
It's a gold crown Rathalos.
I think it's bigger even than that by a lot.
Platinum crown Rathalos.
The part later on where she stabs into its wing and then slides down it.
Like a mast?
Yeah, and I was looking at it and I was like, that Rathalos is like 100 times bigger than any Rathalos I've ever seen.
What if it's an event Rathalos? Like, remember that one that gives us a teeny tiny Azure Rathalos and a giant, Dodogama?
Well, it's funny you should say that.
Uh-oh.
But we'll get to it in the legacy section.
Dodogama!
So in the morning, they're heading out to go look at the tower, I guess. I liked all the scenery we saw here.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. What are you laughing at?
That was just a very abrupt segue.
Yeah, it wasn't really a segue at all. It's just a handbrake turn.
And you did not signal.
I'm sorry. I noticed they have this group that they're taking, and I noticed there were 3 people there with them who weren't characters from the game.
We got some red shirts.
And I thought, uh-oh.
We know what's going on here.
So we get to this tower, and they're talking about how they think that lava powers the tower.
How and why? Why is this tower just suddenly powered up and creating portals out of thunderstorms?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Monster Hunter. So there's an unstable gateway to Earth here. It's kind of like flickering in and out of existence. And the serious handler finds some glass on the floor.
Glassalos.
They know that Rathalos is around. Was that... I can't remember if that was something that you could find as like a sign of Rathalos in World.
No, I just remember scratches and gashes and carcasses.
Yeah. This would have been a cool one, though, to have in the sand. Just some glass.
Yeah, even now, when Rei Dao zaps his thunder, you don't get glass. Like, you get these little formations, and then you can smash them, but you can't get anything from them, I don't think. I think it's implied that the fulgurite crystals are that, though. But
I think so.
They don't form when you fight Rei Dao.
No, they're just there already.
Yeah.
So there's this really tense scene where they wait for Rathalos to come get them. And then all the non-game characters get roasted by it.
Immediately.
Immediately. Before we even see it, they're on fire and dying. This is a long fight scene.
It is, but it isn't, because it ends pretty abruptly.
Well, here's the thing. It's only long because it's made up almost entirely of slow motion shots.
That's fair.
There's a lot of slow motion close-ups.
Slow motion close-ups. We see some super amped elemental discharges.
Yeah.
Like, how does he have that many files? I didn't see him swing his sword once.
He was doing it off screen the whole time.
He's just fighting, like, Apsaros to level it up.
Apsaros. That's what he brought those extra hunters for. He's just using it on them. So there's a part where Rathalos turns to breathe its fire on them. And there's been a lot made of just how hot this fire is throughout the whole movie. It's hotter than flamethrowers. It's hotter than napalm. We were told that right at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So she just runs and jumps off a cliff. She's like, if I'm going to die, I'd rather die by falling than fire.
I'm not descended from the Artians. I'm not built for this.
But luckily she falls into a portal that happens to have opened up below the cliff.
Very convenient.
So she wakes up on Earth, and a helicopter has arrived to pick her up.
And she thinks it's Rathalos.
And this also goes on for such a long time.
Yeah.
Just them.
It's just a fake out, because we think she's back and safe. But then who should appear?
Yeah, Rathalos! He shows up and eats the helicopter.
He beats the shit out of everyone.
Oh my, he wrecks up the military so good.
So good, so efficiently.
He just, treats the tank like a little snack pack.
Yeah, he rips it off and then he just starts picking them out from inside.
Like it's a Lunchable. And eventually, once all the military are dead, Artemis faces off against Rathalos on her own. And she was told earlier by the Admiral that it is weak just when it's about to breathe fire. That's its weakness, apparently. Not dragon, not thunder, just when it's about to breathe fire. That's its only weakness.
It's also quite weak to flash pods. That'll knock it right out of the air.
Yeah. And she, just when it's about to breathe fire on her, she fires, I guess, a bomb of some kind from her slinger into its mouth.
Yeah, no, I think it's just like a flare or something, but we can see that when Rathalos is about to breathe fire, it emits a sulfur fog in its mouth that it ignites.
Right.
And so it just ignites it prematurely and down its stomach.
Yeah, blows up its insides.
Yeah.
And then it looks like it died, but of course it didn't die because there's a couple more minutes of the movie left.
Which is crazy because we see explosions rack down its entire body from inside.
Yeah. But it's okay because the hunter appears. He's on Earth now too.
And he's got so many blast
He
coatings.
peppers it with blast arrows and Rathalos goes roasty toasty. He's we can see inside of him now, so we know he's dead.
Right. I wish blast arrows actually worked like that.
Yeah. The Admiral's here too. He's come to Earth.
Yeah, he's like, you kill the monster.
He says that they came to Earth because he doesn't want Earth attacking his world. But if they don't want monsters attacking Earth either, that would be too much.
That's a little gauche.
So he comes to help. And then another portal opens and a Gorbagala comes out.
Gorbagala, my favorite.
Gorbagala is Monster Hunter 4's flagship monster.
And he's super cool.
He's pretty cool, and they all charge at it, and then the movie ends.
What I want to know is if they gave weak baby Rathalos only one weakness, what would they give Gormagala? Because you can't use flash pods on it. It doesn't breathe fire. What is he weak to?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll learn about actual weaknesses by the time of the next movie. But it's not quite done yet, because there is a mid-credits scene.
Oh, I missed it. I went through the credits to see if there was one, but I guess I must have skipped over it.
It wasn't particularly interesting, TBH.
Oh, okay.
We go back to the tower, the Sky Tower, and all of the three main characters of the movie are there now fighting Gormagala, so I guess they pushed it back through the portal. And then we see that there's a cloaked figure standing at the top of the tower, looking down and watching.
Who could it be?
And then the Meowscular Chef arrives to join the fight. And then that's it. That's the end.
Oh no.
That's the end. So, since this movie was released during a pandemic, it made a pretty big loss at the box office. So I doubt that there will ever be a sequel.
I don't want to see Gore Magala.
Yeah, it's a shame, especially because they clearly made this with the expectation that there was going to be a franchise. And the fact that it ends the way it does means that it kind of handicaps this movie from being great. Like, it's only okay anyway.
Yeah.
But it's made worse by the fact that this is all there is, because they ended it leading into something else.
Right.
So it feels like this is the prelude to the actual movie, you know?
Yeah.
It feels like the next one would have been the actual Monster Hunter movie, and this was the teaser lead in to it.
This was the first episode that just explains the lore and the world.
Yeah, exactly. And I think because they just kind of had this expectation of another movie, they really kind of took their time with this one in a way that they didn't need to.
And shouldn't have.
Because it's a pretty uneventful movie overall, I think.
Yeah. It's a really slow survival movie.
Yeah. And it's such a wife guy movie. You know what I mean?
No. Please elaborate.
So much of the runtime of this movie is taken up by long, lingering close-ups and slow-motion shots that are basically just there to go, look how great my wife is.
That was the weirdest use of that term I have ever heard.
Why? You know what I mean, though, right?
I get it.
He loves his wife.
I guess he does.
And that's what this movie is really about, how much he loves his wife. And, you know, I'm not knocking that. I love that for him. He really loves his wife. And I feel like I haven't seen any of his other movies, but from what I know of the Resident Evil movies, I feel like when we watch those, it's also going to be a case of like, yeah, he really loves his wife. He really made this whole movie just to be like, look how awesome my wife is.
I have already forgotten that they're actually married in real life, so I thought you were just using the term really broadly.
Oh, right. No.
I thought the movie was his wife.
No, I'm saying that this is a movie starring the director and writer's wife.
Phew, okay. That makes a lot more sense.
All right, okay.
That was 2 hours ago. You gotta... you gotta refresh my memory. I'm senile.
Well, so now you get what I mean by that.
Yeah, now I get it.
Now it makes sense, okay.
It does. I thought we were speaking very metaphorically.
No. No, I was not. What do you think? What do you have to say about this movie?
This movie's pretty mid. It's not terrible. It's not good. It seems to know a lot about Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but a lot. It's better than most video game movies.
It definitely does. Like, even when it comes to when they're talking about the ancient civilization, when this came out, I wouldn't have known that the stuff they say is accurate. But now I've looked into it because Wild's kind of brought it to the forefront. And now I'm like, oh yeah, the stuff they said about it was accurate. And even when he does say that he thinks that the portal to Earth had something to do with the downfall, he still just says that's his theory. They don't say that's true. He's just like, I think maybe, I don't know.
That's his crackpot conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Turns out he's the Alex Jones of his world.
I love Ron Perlman.
Me too.
I don't like this interpretation of the Admiral as much as I like the in-game Admiral, though.
He feels too mean-spirited. Everybody in this world is too mean-spirited.
Yes, and that's what it is, because in the game, the Admiral is so warm, you know? He's such a warm figure. Such a welcoming...
He's a big, friendly ape of a man.
Just a Rajang that you want to hug.
He's just a cool dude.
Because he's one of my favorite characters in that game. And this, although Ron Perlman does look the part, I felt like the story he was given was not quite... I think Ron Perlman could do the Admiral the way I am used to him being. I think that's just not the story he was given.
Yeah, he just wasn't written that way.
Yeah. That made the Admiral less of a wonderful man. Also, I think, aside from Nursilla, the monsters that get a lot of focus in this movie are all from the first game.
Right.
So I think it's kind of a shame that it looks like the sequel was jumping straight to Gormagala, jumping all the way to the fourth game. I think I would have preferred it if the monster that came out of the portal at the end had been the flagship of the second game.
Who was?
I don't remember, do you?
I didn't play the second. Why would I know?
Well, I know we've looked him up before. Let me have a look. It was Kushala Daora.
Oh.
That would have been a good one.
That guy stinks, though.
Yeah, but you'd see him coming out the portal. He still would have been a good, oh, it's that guy,
No, because I would have been like, oh, great, I'm in for a 50-minute hunt where I just get knocked on my butt the whole time. He doesn't come out of the sky.
Yeah, but then I'll be like, Mel, it's a movie.
No.
You don't have to play it.
I will already be flashing back.
In the theater. You'll be shooting flash bombs off in the theater. We'll get escorted out.
No, I meant having flashbacks.
Oh.
Weirdo.
Okay, that makes more sense.
I'll have to bring my poison weapons.
Yeah, no, I feel like they clearly wanted to do a franchise, and I think if they really wanted to do a whole franchise, they should have done a movie for each generation.
No. Go straight to Gormagala.
Okay. Well, at least it wasn't Nergigante. That would have been worse than Gormagala, in my opinion.
Yeah. Nurgle's a loser.
Yeah, Nergigante is the most disappointing flagship monster.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with that.
Not a huge fan of Magnamalo or Arkveld either, but
I like Magnamalo.
he's okay.
Big samurai kitty cat.
Malzeno's cooler.
Yeah, well...
So's Velkana.
Exactly. Velkana's cool.
Yeah.
But so's Magnamalo. He's got his Hellfire kitty cat fires.
Yeah,
He explodes all over the place.
He's fine. I think I just felt like he was over-designed, but I guess it's because he's supposed to be like a samurai.
Yeah.
He's no Brachydios.
Oh my god, if I hear one more word about that fucking Brachydios.
But Mel...
I don't care!
What about
No.
the question that you have to ask me?
Oh, that question. How about the legacy?
Could you be a little bit less enthusiastic for me?
I could.
Because there's actually some stuff this time.
Is it a quest?
In Monster Hunter World Iceborne, there were 2 event quests, which I am confused about because I thought we played all the event quests, and I thought I read that the only one that you couldn't play anymore was the Assassin's Creed one.
No.
But we sure didn't play these ones.
No, they took out the Monster Hunter movie ones too.
Oh, okay, I didn't know about that. Yeah, there were 2 event quests where you play as Artemis,
What?
voiced by Mila Jovovich.
What?
Yeah. And in one of them you fight Diablos, and then in the second one you fight a giant Rathalos.
Wow.
All the while wielding the dual blades as Natalie Artemis herself. So that's cool.
Wow. That is definitely her.
Oh, you found it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get the Artemis armor.
I bet he was so proud to get his wife into the game.
That's the whole reason he did this movie.
But that's not all, Mel.
What else?
In Monster Hunter Wilds, they put in Nursilla hatchlings, which were first seen in this movie.
They sure did. They aren't quite as big as they are in this movie.
No, but they're there.
They
They're real
are.
now.
I seen them. They've crawled upon me.
And also, this one might be a stretch, but bear with me. So, in this movie, they talk about how Rathalos' weakness is right before it breathes fire.
Right.
Its face does become a weak spot right before it breathes fire in Monster Hunter Wilds, and I don't think it used to be anything before that.
Well, in World and also in Rise, when what are they called? Silver and Gold, Rathalos and Rathian go into their like supercharged state, what you have to do is keep hitting them in the face and throat to power them down so that their flame isn't supercharged anymore.
Oh, that's true. But that's still not quite the same thing as like hitting them right before they breathe fire.
I guess.
Because that was a very specific, like, you gotta hit it right before it's about to breathe fire. And that is a thing now in Wilds that you can do.
You can also hit them after they breathe fire. It stays a weak point for a little while.
Well, still, look, I'm just trying to find something, okay? I think that's it. I think that's all I got. We done? You got anything else to say about Monster Hunter?
Yeah, I don't like this Monster Hunter series. I think it's dumb and bad.
And now we will go and play it for 8 hours.
No, not till the update comes out.
When is that? Is it like tomorrow? It's Friday, right?
Yeah, it's tomorrow and Friday. I think the servers are going to be down while they implement it.
Okay.
Not that I know anything about that stupid series.
Well, maybe we'll see you all in Monster Hunter.
You won't recognize us.
We don't have the
but we'll
same
be
names, but we're in there somewhere. Maybe you've already seen us and you just have no
Oh.
idea.
Has somebody come into your hunt and immediately died? Probably us.
Probably me, not Mel. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yeah.
We'll watch another movie someday.
Hopefully, it's not going to be as bad as Freddy's. That one really put me off movies for a long time.
I'm sorry. Maybe it'll be Freddy's too.
No!
Thank you to our patrons, Mark Kelly and Jamie Core. We love you both.
Deeply.
If you'd like to join them, you can head to patreon.com/superbreakfastfriendsclub, where I drop pens on the ground all the time.
You do that every episode.
I know. That should be the drinking game for our show.
But do you edit it out?
Sometimes. I'm Skull Pirate Mike. Find me on the internet where I do things. I'm playing Twitch games. I'm doing all kinds of stuff on my own free will. You know about me.
I definitely won't be playing Monster Hunter because I don't like it. I definitely don't already have all the achievements in Monster Hunter Wilds.
Oh yeah, you do. What's your hunter rank?
It's like, I think it's low. It's between 230 and 250, I think.
Okay. I think I'm about exactly 100 ranks below you.
Yeah, well, you gotta keep up.
Bye!
Oh, we have to stop.
Okay, I'm gonna
It's
hit
been
not.
2 hours.